Yeah, he was just telling me, so they both partnered up, you said his grandpa?
Yeah, so apart from music, I like to want to start dipping my hands into different things when I'm young. And I want to start with fashion, like music fashion. And I met him last year at Soho House, Spring Studios, here in New York. Actually, it was a coincidence. He's actually from Italy. And
what part?
From Brescia.
Brescia.
Yeah, and I actually just got my passport 3 months ago, so I spent the last 4 months in Italy because of him, just exploring Europe and everything. And basically, me and my team teamed up with him, and we're PR in the brand, helping the girl, just connecting with influencers and stuff. Because I just see the potential, and it's crazy. It's a luxury tracksuit brand. They aspire to be like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, in that genre. So
it's very cool.
I saw the potential, and I'm like, yo, let's go. You know.
The dopest thing that caught our eyes was that they own their own manufacturing process, which not enough people do.
That's the game. You own that, you got a shot.
Yeah.
You don't, you have less of a shot. It's just the truth. Where do you live?
Well, I grew up in Miami, Florida. That's where I was based, and then recently I started making music, and then I ended up moving out to LA like a year ago. I started working out of there, and I ended up getting signed out of there to 10K projects. So right now I'm based out of LA. But Miami, New York, and LA be like my main 3 spots to go to here. It's like, that's my little combination, it's my favorite.
I love it.
Yeah. New York is beautiful though. It's good vibes. I haven't been here in a minute. It's been like 3 months since the XXL pitch, but now I'm back.
It's fresh.
He's dropping a project in September.
How many tracks?
Just gonna be like 6 new tracks in it. We're gonna mix it with like some that are out now.
Any features?
No, this first project, since it's my first project, I don't want to put any features on.
I'm starting to think that's right. You know, listen, at the end of the day, what's amazing about music, it's kind of, I think the thing I like about music, besides lyrics and storytelling, that's what I actually like, but I like it because it's merit. It's like sports. Like whenever people talk about, like obviously because of how we roll, so many of my friends who grew up with hip hop with me, because we're old, and you know, back in the day, they're like, how do you fuck with this mumble rap shit? And I'm like, bro, you understand that's what everyone said to us about Wu-Tang and Biggie, who liked fucking the Rolling Stones, right? Like, how do you judge music? You know, like I don't understand people. Like I'm like, cause they got something to say. They're a reaction to the shit we grew up with. They're a reaction to society. They're, you know? And so, but what I love about it is merit. Whether you drop whether a person who starts their career drops a project with no features because they want to establish themselves, or they start a project with 6 features because they were part of a crew and they got great relationships and they got hot people on it, at the end of the day, 10 years later, either you've got skills or you do not. Like, you know, it's like sports. There's a score. Like, you know how many people thought Drake sucked? At the end of the day, you can say it, but the market speaks.
The market speaks for itself.
Not XXL, not 1:37 p.m., not Mike Boyd, not you, not me. The market. The market. You know? And like, some people are good enough to have 1 project. That's decent. Some people play forever.
I feel like different artists take different routes. You know, some artists like to just work with like 5 different artists and just get that pool up there, boom, that they need. But it's like a win. You win, lose, or you lose, win, because you get that momentum up there, and then everyone's gonna have to say, oh yeah, you're up there because boom, put you on. So for the rest of your career, you're gonna, oh yeah, he got put on.
But you'll appreciate this. That's what people said about Snoop. Dre put you on. The Chronic was the biggest album ever, until Snoop proved that he was an artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just the truth. Like, that's what's so great about it. Like, that was the point, which is like, the market, your skills, like what you got in you is gonna play out. Just like you, for your brand, just like me, that's the beauty of the game. That's why it's only about the customer. That's why the biggest mistake everyone's making right now is they are nobody. They fuck with fans heavy. DM them back, make videos, because you're hungry. You're hungry. You want to win. You want to get put on. Every fan matters. You can't believe somebody gave a fuck. Oh shit, this is what I was always thinking. You care, you care, you care. And then you pop and you get fancy.
starts getting to their head, starts changing people.
It gets really hard to be hungry when you've got a lot of food. And that's who wins. Like for me, like no question, the reason I think things are going well for me is I haven't changed my behavior with my audience. Because I don't hear the accolades. It's the same reason why I can deal with hate. If you don't hear the cheering, you definitely don't hear the booing. The reason people so much struggle with the booing is because they get high on the cheering. That's why comments fuck with people. You know, when they say you're cute or they love your hair or you're the best, you know, people feel it. Yeah, you know? And then somebody comes in and says you suck or this or poke you in an actual insecurity, because we all got them, right? And that's the one that, you know, yeah. You know, that's the feature issue. The feature issue is the insecurity that you only got there because you were actually boys with the baby and he put you on. And deep down you actually aren't sure you got it. That insecurity, you know?
Perspective though.
100%. It's one big game of perspective.
Also the perspective that you don't need nobody, at least for that first project.
100%. I'm trying to live with I don't need nobody, period, ever. A lot of stuff we do with like emerging.
Collaborations are amazing.
Yeah, especially if you know what my big thing is? My big thing I'm pushing, because hip hop culture, people are cool, and I'm always telling them like kind of off the record, I'm like, yo, if you like some sort of K-pop band and you actually fuck with it, make that fucking track because it's authentic. And people will always lean into authenticity. Always. Always. Always.
Sometimes people just want to find a like answer to something in life and find a way out. And sometimes you can do that through music. You know, like I started doing this for fun. Everyone starts to do what they love for fun, you know. And then I started to notice how it affects people and how I can actually help. You know, so why am I gonna just make a bunch of like crazy ass, negative ass music when I can just put a good message in it?
Yeah.
So.
What kind of kid were you growing up?
I wasn't the craziest kid. I was good. You feel me?
Yep.
I didn't think
Sports?
No, I wasn't much of a sports guy.
School?
I like basketball. I was playing basketball for my school.
You were a good student?
Yeah.
Came easy to you?
I didn't finish school though.
But school came easy?
You know, huh?
School came easy to you?
Nah, not really.
It was hard, yeah.
Yeah, listen, I was struggling with the math.
Yeah.
Not nowadays.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love martial arts.
Got it.
I did martial arts for like 10 years, and then as I started partying in high school, I stopped being so in touch with it, and I stopped doing it, and I found the music, and then I stopped working out. You know, I used to have like this healthy ass lifestyle, which I'm trying to get to. But
Girls fuck up everything.
Everything. But it's about what you were saying. You're just sailing the ship and being consistent with what.
How old are you?
So just turned 21.
That's great.
I just turned 21, June 23.
Opens up after that.
Yeah, I was in.
It's that weight off the shoulder.
Yeah, I was in Miami. I went back to Miami for my birthday because I was in Europe and I hadn't seen my family and like anybody from me. I started getting homesick.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? Go back, see my family. Like my day ones, connect with everybody back in the city. And then I turned 21 there. I was going crazy, hitting every club.
You enjoyed it?
Yeah. Good time.
Yeah, of course. It's a rite of passage.
Popping bottles.
Of course.
Shuttle bottles.
Of course, of course.
Purple Miami.
That's what's up. Anything we can help with? Obviously, when the project comes, we're excited to listen to it and give some love.
So this project, it's my first project that I'm dropping after, in general, with the label after being signed, and it's called Winter Could Be Murder. And basically, in my mind, I have like so many like projects that you lay out in human mind. It's like I have so many layers of music. So you know, like when you first start, for an artist, when he first starts creating music, that he has all these fresh ass ideas.
Yep.
Like his first like real creativity, real pain, real like emotion, first music. So I have that section of music in that period in my life. And right now I went back with all my resources, just tuned them up, got them mixed and mastered, got everything ready.
Right, because those stories are the purest.
Yeah, and I wanted to build a base. I just don't want to go drop, because obviously I have the old unreleased and then the new unreleased.
Yeah.
To me, it's all unreleased, but it's newer and older.
Yeah.
You just can't skip steps and just give them the newest sauce.
Are you gonna mix it, or are you gonna go with the old?
I'm gonna start a base for myself.
Yep, I understand.
I'm gonna let them keep growing.
Yep.
I'm gonna let them hear me grow as an artist, so they can see what I'm doing.
Yep.
So that first project is initially the music that I started creating when I first went out there in LA all by myself. You know what I'm saying? I was just going really just couch to couch, studio to studio, just cooking up, connecting, getting to know people out there. And then one day after the studio, a video of a song that I made, it's called Ease the Pain, was sent to an A&R from Taking Projects. His name's Sam. And he ended up sending that to Elliot Grange. And Elliot Grange was like, sign this kid. I love the song. So from there, everything started picking up for me. I ended up flying out my family, grandma, dad, like randomly out of nowhere, like all of y'all coming to LA, get ready. So like, what the fuck? I got my uncles like, you stole grandma? You took her over there? What you doing, bro?
That's what's up.
So I'm like, yeah, don't worry about her. She's not cooking for a whole week, you know what I mean? She's chilling. So I ended up doing that, and that's just a big part of my motivation, my family.
Yeah, that's great. You have siblings?
Yeah, I have 2 sisters, 1 older brother.
That's cool.
Yeah, younger sister, obviously.
Where's your family from?
Cuban background.
Your parents came over?
Yeah.
You were born here?
Spanish, yeah.
Yeah.
So I speak Spanish too.
Yeah.
Something that I definitely want to tap into too. It's like the culture. Yeah.
It is the culture.
I feel like nowadays.
I'm pissed that I'm not Spanish. I'm being dead serious.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be super pumped if I was. It's an advantage. It's the rest of my life. That is the framework. Like, Latin culture is the framework of America until I'm gone. That is the next current, wave.
Is it me or is it like it's starting to get like more accepted?
Way more accepted.
Like, it wasn't really accepted. I remember even in school, like
way
I always
more
had Cuban
accepted.
friends and like just like the American kids in school, like would act.
No, it's over. The whole world's going. Bro, 14-year-old blonde girls in Middle America are listening to Korean pop and listening to Bad Bunny and fucking it's changed. It's amazing. That's why I'm so excited. The internet has brought so many more cultures.
Exactly.
Like, it's just so much more acceptance. Like,
Diverse,
yeah, you know how big of a star Becky G is to these kids? It's real. It's amazing. I'm so happy. Like, Korean pop's in Korean. They don't even it's watching like that. There's some shit. I mean, I usually predict shit. I would have not predicted, 14-year-old Valley girls loving Korean pop stars. I'm like, that connection I didn't see. So, yeah, it's a wrap. Like, to the point where I think about opening up a VaynerMedia office in Colombia. Like, that's on my mind. Because it's one of the epicenters. Like, it's over. It's happened. This is not like it's coming. It might. Like, Nicki Jam is a superstar, a global star. To again, white American teenagers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So no, it's a wrap.
Yeah, and being from Miami, a lot of people have a lot of Cuban friends out there.
Of course.
So they're always telling me like, yo, Icy, you gotta make a Spanish song eventually, boom, boom, boom.
What about a Spanglish song where you go both? I think so. I'm real hot on that. I think it cuts through. Where you're just the way I speak Russian is start the sentence in Russian, finish in English. Like, I think there's some real heat there. It will pop.
Definitely. No one's ever did that.
Yeah.
So you do it both in Spanish and English.
Yeah, imagine a hook that was fire, that the hook, the 8-12 words, were a mix of Spanish and English. I'm an ideas guy. D-Rock taught me. Oh, man.
What inspires you, Gary?
A mix of guilt and gratitude. I'm just so grateful. Like, the world now talks a lot about white privilege. I think it's mental privilege. Like, I was given an operating system that is super uncomfortable, bro. Like, my mental strength is uncomfortable. I just know it. Like, my ability to be happy and optimistic and deal with adversity and completely not let judgment penetrate my behavior, which allows me to stay in the middle, both on the humility side and on the lack of depression side, right? It's fun now that I keep getting bigger, and I'm gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger, and the same thing's gonna be said until I'm dead, which is damn, he's a nice guy. Damn, it's cool that he hasn't changed. All the stuff that I think we admire in people that have humility, but that doesn't get, don't get it twisted. I'm confident as fuck and hungry as fuck and want to win. That's not, people get confused when you mix some of these things. On the flip side, what being in the middle does is it allows you to be humble and not get high in your own supply, which is what fucks up everybody. but it also allows you not to get low. You know, the two dangers are too high, too low. Too high, you know, what happens to the cliche kid that pops is like gets too high, which gets them low. And it's all about that judgment. So like what inspires me is like, I want to give back because all that I have is a byproduct of my parents having sex at the right second. Like on some real shit. Like, what am I? I'm the byproduct of mom and dad decided to get married on that. I'm from the old school. I was born 9 months to the day of my parents' wedding night. Old school Russia, they 20 and 19, you know, you're fertile as fuck, like you know, like old school shit. Like literally, it's true. So, and then I got lucky. I was born in the Soviet Union. So, you know, deep, like Cubans, like communism, true communism. Got to America, studio apartment, like this, 8 family members, like this, I have no entitlement. I don't think anybody owes me anything. I don't expect anybody to do anything for me, financially, emotionally, physically. I've just become like this, like honestly, like I think like a mental beast. So what that means is, then that's the mix of gratitude and guilt. I'm grateful as fuck. Like, you know, it's like being born beautiful as shit. That's just a gift, because life gets good if you're real beautiful, you know? Like, and, but there's also a level of guilt. Like, not bad, I don't have a lot of guilt, but I'm like, it's just a mix of those, like, you're just like, I'm like, cool, this is the gift I was given, and that then makes me want to give back. Like, the reason I'm spitting everything that I am, the reason I'm giving is, I feel like my mom, my circumstance, later my dad, they all gave me these things, so I want to pass that cosign. Back to hip hop, like, because I've been watching it for a long time, somebody gets cosigned, they pop, and I'm always wondering, I watch them, who then cosigns people and who doesn't, and that's who I decide who they are. You know? You know, Eminem got that cosign from Dre, passed it to 50 Cent. Like, you know, gives you an indication of how he sees it. You know, I'm not knowledgeable enough, or it's not top of mind right now of who got really co-signed and didn't co-sign anyone, but that person exists too. That happens. So I'm the one that wants to give at scale. When you give without expectation, you become unstoppable. You know how fun these meetings are for me? Put people on, give them no audiences, do all the shit, try to help them with brand deals, answer questions, all that stuff. Be there on a late night DM, get your head right, stop fucking around with that weird, you know, booty chick, like whatever, you know?
No, and it's
please.
Grateful. Millions and millions live in New York. How many people are here that do what they don't like every day?
98%.
And then they're just good people that and they want to help society. They want to be part of the bigger picture, but they're trapped in the matrix.
Not only that, what you kids don't know, how old are you?
33.
So you're too young too, like mainly probably me, like what you don't know is none of you grew up and got to like 18, 19, 20 without the internet existing. I did. So the reason so many people are like that, it was there were no fucking options. There was no making a fucking Instagram video and getting found. One of you got found. Not all of you. There's no SoundCloud. There's no internet. You guys can see it because it's true. They can't see it because it wasn't true. It was lottery ticket shit.
That's one thing that I think that the youth makes a mistake of, like just speaking on behalf to Biggie and Tupac, like young artists, and just like discrediting a lot of shit that they did for society, apart from music shit. You know, like, apart from music shit, I feel like they did a lot of like controversial, like foundating stuff that really like helped music grow from there. And old heads, as they call it, young people, they also make the mistake of wanting to judge the young people
100%.
For no reason.
100%. The worst part with the old heads, the young kids are just naive and delusional. The old heads are being well, the old heads are being hypocritical in hip hop. Again, I keep telling all my homies and executives, I'm like, you were told as a kid that hip hop wasn't real music. You were. How are you doing that to somebody now?
World full of hypocrites. That's what the song's about.
It's true. It's true. It's true. Because people most people want to build the biggest building by tearing everybody else's buildings down instead of having the fucking skills to just build the biggest fucking building.
I feel like, I know they said.
Real talent gives love. That's what I'm doing. Because I don't need anybody to get mine. Fake talent gives hate. That's what it is.
I also believe in the balance. It's okay when they make these opinions and judge, and it's back and forth between the youth and the older crowd. It's okay. I just have to be in the outside perspective of that, and I don't really judge. I don't really like to step into that. I just want to do me, keep creating.
Every to your point, every second that somebody's in that beef is a second they're not bringing value to the audience. That's why I don't debate anybody in any of my businesses. Like, I'll let them pay attention to me and judge, because that means they're spending time on me. I don't even know what anybody's doing in my business. I don't know what my competitors are doing. It doesn't matter.
Once you start focusing on the next person's moves, you start losing yourself.
100%.
It happens.
I'm glad you came through. I gotta get to some shit, but
So glad to be here.
Yeah,
Glad
man.
to meet you. Grateful.
yeah, man. How'd you first come across my shit? Because I know we've been DMing for a minute. Do you remember?
Way before we were even in contact, I've been seeing your stuff on the Explore page, and it
Got
was just you. I remember the first video I seen, it was just you speaking about, stop, if you have more followers than money, you're fucked. And I was like, so that's right. Right? Yeah, that stuck on me like, poof.
Yeah, because everyone's getting so caught up in this whole Instagram might start hiding likes. I'm all about it. I'm all about it. And everybody thinks I'd be sad because I'm at a top tier. I want people to be creative. And right now everybody's just pandering to likes and followers.
Yeah.
They're living their lives. Nobody's being creative because everyone's making the same shit that they know. Pretty girls are showing too much skin. Funny guys are making the same jokes. Fucking, like everyone's doing the same, like everyone finds something that works and then they just can't stop and not do anything else. They're not being creative. Hiding likes will bring back creativity.
True. Yeah, what do you mean exactly by hiding likes?
So Instagram right now in 6 countries, right now, is hiding the likes on the post. Like when you look at somebody's post, it just doesn't show how many likes there are. And right now, those likes are the currency of society.
Instagram, that's the greatest thing
You know?
said. It's the greatest thing they ever did.
Right? You know this, like you guys are youngsters, like people just roll, like it's crazy, like it's the currency. Like you meet a girl, there's like, how many followers you got? Like that's like real.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
It's a real thing, which is great if you happen to have a lot of followers, and sucks if you don't. Okay, I gotta get the fuck out of here. I wanna hang the whole time, I got fucking work to do, I guess.